Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the final week of the Spark Innovation webinar series. We're so grateful that you spent much of your summer with us. Today, we are really excited because we have some very dear partners to ours helping us out today. Sam and Emily from the RISE Network are here to talk to us about how do we engage and specifically engage our high school students. You all see it directly in your attendance data, and across the state, it's in the attendance data that our high schoolers are struggling, and some of them have been missing from the classroom for a while. So what are the unique ways that we can serve them and support them as we head into this new school year? Again, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us. If you're watching this in the recording, you can also see the slides and the one-page summary found on the web page. We'll drop it for you here in the chat box. And the last housekeeping thing I wanted to share with you all that you might have seen in the digest this week is that free professional development opportunity for anyone in your leadership team. It's particularly helpful for your CFOs and your business and financial managers, but just a great way to better understand how to manage and utilize all of these federal funds that we've gotten this year. So make sure that you check that out. It's on the webpage and in your inboxes. It's sign up completely free. It's through Georgetown, and we're really excited to offer it to all of you. But without further ado, we are gonna go into the background and answer any questions that you might have. Sam and Emily have some incredible information for you today, but Maddie and myself will be here to help in the background, and I will toss it over to you guys. Thank you so much for being with us.
Great. Thank you so much, Tanya, for really inviting us to participate in the Spark Innovation webinar series. We also want to thank all of the participants on this call. Truly, thank you for taking time out of your busy schedules to join us for this conversation. And perhaps more importantly, thank you for all of your leadership and perseverance over the past year and a half amidst the pandemic. My name is Emily Palin. I serve as the Executive Director for the Connecticut RISE Network. And I'm joined by my terrific teammate, Sam Purdy, who leads our engagement team here at RISE. And like all of you, we are really excited to think about how this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity can spark real changes and improvements in our schools far beyond the pandemic. So as Tanya alluded to, for today's session, we want to focus on our high school age students and strategies to support secondary and post-secondary achievement. Specifically, we are going to unpack strategies to help all of our students successfully transition to, through, and beyond high school. So here is how we hope to spend our time together and what we hope to accomplish. We'll begin with a short introduction to the RISE Network, a nonprofit organization, again, that Sam and I both represent. Then we will dig into really concrete and tangible strategies to promote freshman and post-secondary success. We'll also share information about costs associated with each strategy. And we've intentionally included some low or no cost opportunities, as well as areas for greater potential investments. And we'll close out by offering some resources and contact information. And we'd love to hear your questions and ideas as you consider different ways to promote student success in and beyond high school. So let's go ahead and dive in. To start, we want to introduce you to our organization and network community. So RISE is a nonprofit organization based in New Haven, Connecticut. And we created RISE with the goal of bringing together school communities across the state to improve student outcomes with a focus at that high school level. Currently, RISE represents a partnership between teachers, counselors, and administrators working together across 8 different districts and 9 partner high schools to support about 13,000 students. And we work towards this shared mission to ensure all of our students not only graduate with a plan, but also the skills and confidence to achieve college, career, and life success. And in addition to our direct school partnerships, we are really eager to share resources and what we are learning with a broader audience. I think we would all agree that this work is too hard and too important to constantly be reinventing the wheel. And just like we are constantly learning from schools and districts around the state and country, we also hope to share some ideas and practices with our neighbors throughout the state. So as a network community, we pursue 5 different focus areas. And these focus areas are informed by national research, our local data, educator expertise, as well as student and family voice. Importantly, we don't believe in a single silver bullet solution. Instead, this framework really speaks to how our work embraces multiple entry points or levels for change at both the school, student, educator, educator team, and network levels. We also believe really strongly in empowering communities to really create the change that they want to see in their schools. So these 5 focus areas and the strategies that we'll discuss today reflect the best thinking of hundreds of practitioners from across the state, which means that these strategies have been educator tested and refined over time. And as we will walk through some of the individual strategies, we hope that you'll see connections to this overarching framework, again, at the school level, investing in a culture of on-track achievement and post-secondary success. At the student level, we focus on targeted supports during these really key moments of transition between middle school and high school, as well as high school and post-secondary. At the team level, we believe in empowering educators with user-friendly data and building routines to support continuous improvement. At the educator or classroom level, we are driving towards more equitable practice. And then as a cross-school network, we're constantly looking for ways to learn, grow, and improve to really advance our collective impact. So at this point, I'm going to turn things over to Sam to get more practical and more concrete. What are some of the specific strategies aligned to these 5 focus areas that we've found can support student success?
All right, great. Thanks so much, Emily. We want to dig in and just discuss why we focus on ensuring students can experience a strong start to their high school careers, building toward college and career readiness. For each of the 5 focus areas that Emily just discussed, we pursue specific strategies to promote grade 9 on-track achievement and post-secondary success. So let's start with a focus on freshman success. Before we explore some of the specific ideas and tactics, though, it feels important to start with why. When we first created the RISE network, we embraced a shared vision of post-secondary success for all students. And we set out then to say, what are some of the barriers and the obstacles to achieving that big goal? So we worked as a network community. What's the common problem? And we identified that too many of our grade 9 students were struggling during that transition from middle school to high school, falling off track during the first year. We consulted national research in this process, and we were really compelled by research from the University of Chicago that many of you may be familiar with, showing that grade 9 on-track status, in other words, whether or not a student earns enough credits to be promoted on time to sophomore year, is the single most predictive factor in determining whether a student will graduate on time from high school. That's more than family income, race, ethnicity, test scores. Above all, freshman success determines high school success. And for all of us in education, this is significant, but it's probably not terribly surprising. We know a lot is happening during that middle to high school transition. If I ask you to go back in your mind to freshman year with all the warnings required to make that mental journey, we know students are experiencing new independence and responsibility. They're navigating new school buildings, experiencing credits and their importance for the first time. And so with this backdrop, it becomes more understandable why the research shows what it does, and why we too often in our everyday experience see the drops that take place in attendance and the increases in course failures when students are transitioning. So now that we have a bit of a shared understanding around the why and the value and importance of focusing on grade 9 on track, we are excited to offer some of the concrete strategies and ideas that we pursue across all of our partner high schools and that we believe can and should be highly replicable in other school communities across the state. So the first one here, the grade 9 summer bridge strategy, actually starts before students officially start high school. So every fall, when new students enter school buildings with new staff, peers, routines, new responsibilities, we can see heightened anxiety and ultimately disengagement. So to address this and its difficulty, RISE high schools invite rising grade 9 students to participate in a teacher-led, no-cost summer bridge program. These programs introduce students to their new school, to its expectations, and they help students build relationships with teachers, counselors, and other students. And the programs also focus on interdisciplinary skill building to help students prepare for day one of their high school classes so that they are academically ready. Now, before leaving behind this slide, I want to call your attention to the toolkit icon and the hyperlink in the upper right-hand corner. As we share all these ideas and strategies with you, it feels important to us to share resources and templates that go along with them, ways to actually design and launch the work. So when you are eventually in the slide deck, please do follow along those toolkit links. And you'll access planning guides, training videos, protocols, and tools, project planning and templates as well, things that can help you hit the ground running. So next strategy is on-track coordinators. This one represents a capacity investment. So in Connecticut, the student to counselor ratio is 466 to 1. That is almost double the American School Counselor Association's recommendation. Now, recognizing the importance of grade 9, all RISE high schools have one or more additional youth development professionals in the form of on-track coordinators, we call them OTCs, who serve as champions and advocates for a targeted caseload of grade 9 students. Now, these OTCs have a maximum of 60 students on their caseload, and they're identified through grade 8 data, which, having that reduced caseload allows them to provide deep, real sustained support. So as full-time members of the school staff, they have this really key role of supporting students who have demonstrated attendance or academic, social, or behavioral risk factors in middle school. And the OTCs are their coaches. They are there for them to support these students who may otherwise experience difficulty or become off track. And in doing that work, they collaborate with teachers, administrators, students, and families to ensure that every student has the best possible chance at success. I'm going to hand things back over to Emily for a few more strategies in grade 9.
Sounds good. So the first couple of strategies that Sam shared reflect slightly higher cost grade 9 strategies. We also wanted to share some of those more budget-friendly investment areas. So our next strategy is on-track data teams. And it's worth noting as a foundational condition that high schools in the RISE network do organize their grade 9 students and staff on teams, which create smaller learning communities where teams of educators are supporting a shared student caseload. So then with this strategy, these educators, these teams of 9th grade educators, engage in data meetings at least weekly, bringing together support staff, administrators, and teachers across multiple content areas. Now, we know that data meetings are not necessarily a new idea, but these meetings do take on a new or more disciplined format because teams are using data, protocols, norms, and team roles to engage in really evidence-based and solutions-oriented conversations. Educators share their experiences working with a common set of students in an effort to advance their shared student outcome goals for their caseload. These are distinct from content area meetings where teachers come together to discuss lessons and assessments. In on-track data meetings, the focus truly is on students at the center of the adult collaboration in that space. Deeply related to that strategy are data tools. So data teams necessitate high quality data tools. And as an organization, we believe that educators are truly dedicated professionals who deserve tools and information that can make their work hopefully a little bit less daunting. We believe that educators deserve user-friendly and real-time data that allow them to monitor trends over time, analyze subgroup performance, and understand student strengths and growth opportunities. High-quality data tools also promote ongoing accountability as well as continuous improvement. So RISE partners with schools with a variety of, provides schools with a variety of secure and user-friendly data tools that update nightly. And this includes different dashboards and workflow trackers. Educators can then use these tools in their personal practice and those team settings to make sure that we're grounding decisions in evidence. If your school or district does not yet have a suite of data tools, this represents yet another opportunity area. At the same time as we want educators to be grappling with data, we also believe in empowering students with information about their progress to support ongoing goal setting. So on-track student conferences create a venue for students to engage in quarterly one-on-one conversations with a caring adult. And we have schools in our network that will engage everyone from teachers, superintendents, to security guards in the building in these conversations, really creating a space for students to discuss their progress, any difficulties, as well as goals for the remainder of the school year. And these conversations ideally happen a few weeks prior to the close of every marking period. That gives students enough time to receive their data, discuss goals, and really act before the end of the quarter. The conferences are guided by a student data protocol, as well as a grade appropriate data profile for the student. And we'll be sharing some of these screenshots of different artifacts. As Sam mentioned before, those toolkit links will take you to all of these tools and resources if you want to explore any of these further. So again, those conferences are guided by data and a protocol. For example, grade 9 students in Q1 are discussing their transition into high school. We're talking about hobbies and interests, as well as how to get involved in school clubs and sports. It's a different look and feel in grade 12 in Q3, where we're talking to students about college acceptances, college affordability plans, and career pathways. Importantly, we put this in the freshman success section. This is a strategy that we would recommend in grades 9 through 12. Again, the conversations take on a different feel given the time of the school year and the grade level for the students. Lastly, we also encourage grade 9 teams, as well as the full school faculty, to really take this as a moment to re-examine grading policies and practices with an eye towards more equitable grading. During high school, we all know that grades serve many important functions, including determining students' on-track status, as well as providing students with really valuable and rich information to motivate and support their continued learning journeys. However, I think many of us would also agree that grading policies and practices often require deeper attention to achieve the goal of improving student outcomes and really closing opportunity gaps. So through staff professional development and policy shifts, schools can make moves to adopt grading systems and practices that really can strive towards minimizing bias, empowering students, and promoting the deeper learning that all of us aspire to. So Sam and I are passionate about these strategies for freshman success, again, developed in partnership with hundreds of educators around the state. We really cannot take credit for the great thinking and strategies reflected here. It came from wonderful educators around the state. We're passionate about this work because of the results that we're seeing in RISE high schools. So over the past 5 years, high schools that have been a part of the network for that duration have improved grade 9 on track rates by 20 points, from 64% to 84%. And equally important, historically underserved subgroups, including our Latinx, special education, and English language learners, are improving at rates faster than their peers, proving that all students thrive when we provide an excellent education and access to opportunities and supports. So while we remain motivated by more work to do, we are also motivated by the early results that we're seeing. And on this next slide, we also wanted to share 4-year graduation rates for those same schools, which show that graduation rates are up by 9 points in a period when statewide graduation rates remained relatively flat. And given that we partner with higher need districts and schools, it's important to know that we are closing these opportunity gaps and leveling the playing field for historically marginalized students. So higher graduation rates are not enough. We also know that we want to prepare all of our students for college and career success. So for that, I'm going to turn things back over to Sam to walk us through some of those strategies designed to promote post-secondary success.
Right, perfect. And as with before, it feels important just to briefly start with why this is such a core area for us. We focus on a few different data points, but in short, we simply have more work to do to ensure that all students not only graduate on time, but to Emily's point, have a plan, have the skills, the confidence to achieve those plans. We know that only 75% of low-income students will graduate in 4 years, graduate from high school, that is. And only 20% of the low-income high school graduates will go on to earn a higher degree or a certificate within 6 years of graduating high school. And crucially, students need that additional credential. 70% of the jobs here in the state do require some form of higher education. So we know that by achieving success in this work, we are actually going to contribute to really critical outcomes that all of us want for students, that students want for themselves, and that all of us want for our state in the form of employment, health, economic prosperity. So let's dig into some of the strategies. You know, a moment ago, Emily talked about data meetings in grade 9. We also pursue these to support post-secondary planning and attainment. So similar to the grade 9 on-track meetings, post-secondary data meetings engage teams in regular conversation about upper class students, grade 11, grade 12, and their progress developing their post-secondary plans, completing milestones. So in these meetings, counselors and administrators use data and a collaborative data tool that RISE provides to ensure that all seniors pursue and access their personalized goals. This setting in combination with the tool really makes sure that counselors, college and career coordinators, teachers, and administrators can collaborate and identify places where individual students need more support and where perhaps the cohort at large needs support with a milestone that many are behind or off track with. This is in conjunction with post-secondary planning campaigns. So we all, all of our high schools everywhere work on supporting applications and planning, but our schools work in a sort of campaign style to make these especially exciting, engaging, and motivating for students. So these activities connected to the campaign really make things very visible, feel less daunting. Some of these things might be, events such as Why Apply Day in September, a national social media campaign, FAFSA launch events in October, timed to the release of the FAFSA application, and more. Now, sort of on the calendar, taking a step back, similar to grade 9, RISE high schools offer no-cost summer academies for rising seniors. These are also focused on important transition, but in this case, giving students a head start on their post-secondary planning process, giving them some dedicated time with staff to support their work in building a resume or practicing interview skills, building a college list, completing college essays, and starting the Common application. Connected to the campaign, though, at the other end of the calendar, at the end of the year, final weeks of senior year, RISE high schools celebrate the graduating seniors' post-secondary plans. So students walk across the auditorium stage, or in 2020, we did this on the Zoom stage, revealing their plans to attend specific colleges or enlist in particular branches of the military, pursue a particular trade or other career path. And we have seen that when done well, these can rival the graduation ceremonies in their significance. And they also sort of reinforce the shared school-wide value around post-secondary success. One last one, we know that the work does not stop on senior signing day, graduation day. Schools at this moment in the RISE network are in the middle of our summer melt texting campaigns, which provide students who've just graduated with text message reminders and nudges over the summer to ensure that they actually pursue those goals and plans they left with. This is a national phenomenon, this notion of summer melt, where students leave high school with a plan that ultimately they do not act on due to a myriad obstacles that folks face. And we do see that this disproportionately affects first generation and students of color. So the students participating in these programs are going to get personalized text messages that help them stay on track, and those often lead to more targeted meetings and conversations that go beyond just texts. I want to quickly go over this slide that won't be able to do justice to with the time we have, but in summary, what this shows is that results can be truly transformative when school communities kind of come together and pursue strategies with fidelity. We're talking on-track rates, higher graduation rates, improved college readiness, higher rates of FAFSA completion. And these are results we're proud of that really show the possibility of improving student outcomes and closing the opportunity gaps for young people in Connecticut. So Emily, I'll give it over to you to wrap things up.
Great. So we hope that the ideas and toolkits that we've shared today can support you and your teams at the school and district level as you consider different strategies to promote student success. And we want to wrap up again by summarizing the opportunities that we've described here and their associated costs. So slides 27 and 28 that'll be shared out after this session summarize that menu or potential shopping cart of strategies that we've outlined in greater detail on the previous slides. So this particular slide summarizes those strategies associated with supporting grade 9 on-track achievement. It is worth noting that all of these strategies can and should be customized to meet your local needs and context. And as with any strategy, these strategies can be made more or less expensive based on the specific investments made. So this table really summarizes our recommendation around costs and buckets of costs associated with each strategy. Here again, on the next slide, we summarize those different strategies that were shared around college and career access and readiness. And we also summarize likely costs associated with each of those undertakings. We truly, truly hope that the conversation continues beyond today's session. We are really eager to hear from you as you consider different opportunities this summer and beyond, and engage in planning and implementation conversations during the upcoming school year. So if you choose to pursue any of the strategies that we've shared today, we would love for you to know that you are not starting from scratch. Sam had mentioned on the earlier slide in this presentation that we did include toolkit hyperlinks associated with many of the strategies shared. We also wanted to direct your attention towards the RISE resources portal at ctrise.org/resources. At any time, please feel free to access over 100 different open source resources, including training videos, toolkits, protocols, you name it. You can search through these tools by different tool type, educator role, or outcome or focus area. Everything is downloadable and completely customizable for the needs of your school. And then on this final slide, we wanted to share our contact information. Please do not hesitate to reach out as you have questions, feedback, ideas. We are always learning as well. And please also consider following us on social media and periodically checking out the RISE blog. We are regularly sharing images and promising practices from high schools around the RISE network. Our partners inspire us on a daily basis, and we hope that their innovative ideas can inspire you as well. So we want to wrap up in the same way that we started, by expressing our sincere gratitude for all of you. Thank you for your interest in today's conversation, and thank you for, again, the tremendous leadership that you show on behalf of Connecticut students and families each and every day of the year. So Tanya, thank you again for this opportunity.
Amazing. Thank you both so much, Emily and Sam, for such rich information. And I think those of you who work really a lot with teenagers, you know they're a special breed, and they deserve a special attention this year in particular. We were having a conversation last week that our juniors in high school have never had a normal school year yet. They're entering the end of their high school phase and have not had a consistent year. And this is a great opportunity to really serve the students who are not yet lost. And when we talk about our mission as a state to reimagine schools, to transform students' lives, this really can transform their lives, their trajectory, how they become, active and engaged members of the adult workforce. And so really, really helpful tools. Thank you both so much. This will all be posted on the webpage for you to access. And I think one thing I just wanted to highlight from everything you guys said is, when you look at the American Rescue money, and you'll see in your application as you're working on it, we really are asking, how are you serving those disproportionately affected by the pandemic? And that, of course, is a mission that we have with our commitment to equity, but it also is coming from the federal government. And every single thing you guys mentioned shows this really great enhancement of rates or completion rates for those groups. And so if you're looking for a way, a low cost way or medium cost way, this is really awesome. I know we don't have very much time left, but I wanted to just ask one question. We're a few weeks away from the summer being over and the school year starting. Do you have something that you could offer to our members here of what they could do to get started for this fall? Is there anything right away that you're like, you should jump on this in the next few weeks?
Sam, I'll kick that to you.
Unmute and say, yes, I think absolutely that one, taking pieces of the on-track data teams model and saying what protocols, tools, and routines in a very low cost, low lift way can we immediately bring in and make sure that people who teach the same grade 9 students can have conversations informed by that. And I also think that starting longer-term planning processes around hiring on-track coordinators and other specialized folks in roles like that, this is not going to be a one-year issue, right? And we want to make sure that we're prepared to target supports to the students who need it most, including with roles like that.
And the only thing I would add to Sam's great response is starting with the why, just like Sam did in both of those sections around the importance of freshman success, the importance of post-secondary success, and starting to build that culture among the high school educators of this shared mission and purpose, and then working together that there are very tangible and simple and concrete things that we can plan together. We find that educators are really excited to design and lead this work, and that's a pretty empowering and exciting thing to create within a school.
That's incredible. Again, thank you both so much. As you all can see, the information here to reach out to them. And I hope that you do, because I think that this is an opportunity to provide an intervention that's not only an antibiotic, right? Something that's immediately reacting to the pandemic, but it's also sort of a vaccine for the future. If you have these structures in your school, you're going to help the kids that had their elementary experience disrupted come the time they're in high school. Really, really helpful. Thank you both so much. And thank you all for attending and enjoying lunch with us, if you will. We have one more session left in this round of Spark Innovation on Thursday, and it is us getting down to the nuts and bolts of the building. How do you build a safe and healthy school, and looking at HVAC systems? And we have our colleagues from the Department of Public Health coming to speak to us. So we hope you can join us for one more week. But Emily and Sam, a big thank you, and we hope to see you all on Thursday for another round of Spark Innovation.